Hello, hello everyone, good evening. We are not going to talk about whether Trump is a racist tonight. We are going to stay away from politics. I always do really badly when I talk about politics. So let's not go there. Let's talk about Bitcoin instead, because this is quite exciting. Now, on Sunday night, I posted a chart because I thought, God, this is looking quite bullish here, in Bitcoin. If we're just doing a big ABC correction, this first drop that we did was clearly an ABC, which says correction. And then this rally was an ABC as well, which is a B leg, perfect. So then I was looking for, when is this this next leg, the final leg, likely to finish? And I had it here around 10,500, and there's 4 hour 200 moving average. Everything's perfect. But, Bitcoin always likes to overrun. And one of the reasons I think it overrun as well was, and let's tidy up this chart now, this daily 50 moving average. And if we look back at previous rallies, so all the way up, we've been supported by this 20 moving average. And the 50 moving average is like the backstop. Let's go back to the rally we did in 2017 and we look at how this behaved then. And you can see that this 50 moving average very often was support or resistance, and certainly when we got in the stronger parabolic phase it was. So this bounce today was quite predictable. So far, so good. Will it be a bullish reversal? It depends where we close, okay? What we need to do is close more than 50% above this big red drop candle. So if you measure the open close of this candle, we'll call it in candlestick terms, that would be a reversal. So we'll look for the 50% of the open close. Just see what price that is. Put it on the right so I can read it. 10,786 here at Bitstamp. So 10,786 would be a on the daily close would be a bullish reversal. 786, so it's around that 793. Put it just there we go. So that's what we're looking for a bullish close. But then above that, we've also got this 20 moving average. So I'm going to say the 20 moving average, given the way it behaved all the way up and how it was support, I'm going to say that that's more important. And that if we are going to just turn around and carry on lower, that 20 moving average and this 11,000 level is more likely to be resistance for Bitcoin if we're going to struggle and this is just a bounce and we do another swing lower, maybe make a big ABC correction. Now, what we do here is quite important, because if we end up making a wedge here, if we rally and we end up making a big sideways triangle for July, then it makes it more likely that what we're looking at here is a wave 4. And that's important because it tells us, how far it's going to come back and what we're going to do next, or what to expect next for Bitcoin. Because there's a lot of argument, and I'm not the world's greatest Elliott wave counter. I'm going to admit that I'm not. But there's a lot of argument about whether this entire sequence is 5 waves completed and whether we're going to see a deep correction, like 50%. I see people talking about 5,000. At the moment, I'm thinking, yeah, that's crazy. Because we're still holding above the daily 50 moving average in a strong uptrend. Now, the alternative scenario is, if we were going to be doing that and retracing the whole thing, then we're bouncing from the 38.2 fib, that's fine. But if it breaks, then we come back 50%, which would be 8,500, and then maybe 61.8 down to 7,200. But let's face it, if this was a big wave 1, to be honest, the rules say we could have a really deep retrace. We could come all the way back to the 200-day moving average at 5,900, and that's true. But what if it's not, okay? What if that was wave 1 that we did in December, this was wave 2 in January, and this is just wave 3 that we finished? Then this 38.2 retrace that we're holding and have just retested puts us in that sideways triangle scenario with still one more swing higher to come. And I kind of like that one. The other reason, so for me, I think if I'm going to say this is just a wave 4, we've still got another swing higher to come in Bitcoin before we see a big correction or a bigger correction where we can buy for the long term. So I'm still thinking, September might be a better time to buy for the long term. Now, the other reason that I think that might be the case is if I draw fib retraces from this high to this low here. Here we are going sideways at the 50%. 618, 38.2. Now, when we done the wrong one. It looks like here we didn't quite tag the 38.2, doesn't it? And that, normally if you reverse it to 618, you go to the 38.2. I'm going to say that the futures are a better chart, because if we look at the Bitcoin futures chart, you will see that from the 61.8, 38.2, that we actually did that swing 618, 382 perfectly. So that looks pretty good. And in fact, in the Bitcoin futures, we're nowhere near that 50 moving average, and we're still in a pretty strong uptrend. And if we close much higher, we'll be back above that 20 moving average again. No bother. In fact, today's candle is wildly bullish in the futures. So I have to say I'm leaning towards sideways correction and a sideways pullback for July still. And I think that we will bottom sometime at the end of the month, and this. So let's go back to Bitcoin dollar chart. Here we go. And so that we may very well see a triangle or a wedge consolidation. So this would be A, B, C, then we'd have a D leg, and then an E leg, and then we would go again. So potentially that may happen. Where would I be wrong? Well, if we lose this daily 50 moving average, or if we lose this 38.2 fib level, which here at Bitstamp would be 94.50, then the next place I'm looking for is these lows. You see, this is the last swing higher. So this is like our daily trend level. And this kind of lines up with the 50% retrace of the rally from the lows as well. And it's around sort of 7,400, 7,200. So if we continue lower, that's where this previous swing low, would be lining up to buy Bitcoin. Until now, I'm really sitting on my hands. I didn't buy here. And the reason I didn't buy here is even if this is just crazy and it just goes straight to new highs, right? It never just goes in a straight line. There will always be a point where you will get a pullback, a higher low, or an entry that you can buy against. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for if it decides to keep going in Bitcoin. Nick, thoughts on the fractal of 2017? I'm not a fractal person, and fractal people will hate me for saying this, but I kind of feel like every moment in the market is unique and we should look at it uniquely. And I don't think that we would be, but I do think that, wave patterns are very similar, and I know it's a really great tool for a lot of people. In fact, I have really good technical analyst friends who are incredibly good fractal traders. It's just not my thing. Okay, so we had our big drop. Now we're having a bounce. This next bounce will tell us what's next. So in short, if we don't bounce very far, or if we can't get back above this 20 moving average, which is around 10,900 at the moment, we're probably going to keep going lower. If we get above 10,900 or 11,000, we are probably in a big triangle and wedge, or one of the market snipers, amazing high volatility funnels, and we'll be doing something like that. Okay, so that's where I see us in Bitcoin. Now, one of the nastiest falls this week has been in Ethereum, and I'm just I know nobody's particularly interested in Ethereum, But some people have been stuck in it and gone the wrong way. So I am going to quickly update it. And I also, I'm going to then take a look at Litecoin and then ADA and, I don't know, I'll do ETH in a minute. We'll do Litecoin first. We'll stick to the order that I said. So Litecoin, start on the daily. I'm going to look at Litecoin Tether, not Litecoin Bitcoin. Now, finally, in Litecoin Tether, we've reached a really bullish pattern. We've reached an ABC correction and we've reached 50% of the entire rally from the December low. If we were going to have a magnificent bounce, this would be a really good level to do it from. And if I measure like this, you can see, so this is A, and then we go A, B, C like this for a B leg and C leg. You can see that 87, 84 zone is a really good support zone and an ABC level for Litecoin Tether. One of the problems is, for me, that this 200 moving average hasn't quite caught up. And I have a feeling that it's gonna. So what I would like to see, and when the moving averages haven't quite caught up, what you tend to do when you get to a big level is sit there and make a bit of a base. So I would really like to see Litecoin Tether make a bit of a base here around 85, 80. And let this 200 moving average catch up. And then I think by the time we tag it, we'll be ready to go again. So for me, a really good level, but maybe we need a bit, we got here quite sharply. Maybe we need to spend a bit of time here making a bit of a base. And again, you know, patience. This is, I was always expecting July to be a bit of a pullback month or a slow month, and so, or a consolidation month, and that's how it's playing out. So I really, you know, just because you've reached a good level doesn't mean it's a great screaming buy. Sometimes you need to look on a lower time frame at how it's panning out and flip the moving averages on the low time frame bullish, or make a double bottom, inverted head and shoulders, any of those kind of bullish patterns. That's what I would like to see here at this level before I jump into Litecoin. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is ADA and then ETH. I'm going to go through all the list at the top, and then at the end I will have a look. And Jonathan says, you missed the request. Can we have a look at Leo? Yes, we'll try and squeeze that at the end. Okay. ADA. Now, ADA is another one. This is, we're looking at Tether because Bitcoin's so nutty. In ADA, we've reached the 61.8 fib. If we draw our retrace from the December low to the high that we made in June, we're at that 61.8 level. Why might we get a reaction here? Because, you know, each of the other fib levels did give us a bit of a reaction, a bounce. So we can say confidently we'll probably pause and bounce here at 5756. But in order to turn it into a reversal, we're going to need to do a bit more than bounce. So first of all, we're going to need to get above this 200-day moving average, which is around 64.75, and then we need to get above 6,700. This, when you stop at a 618 fib level, which is here, your target is always back to the 38.2 if you can reverse. So that's what we're hoping for, to get at least back to here. And the 50% in the middle tends to work as a pivot level. So you've got to get above that to get to the top half, and vice versa. And so what you see very often is, you'll see this, we might have a bit of a wobble here, and then up we go. And then before we go, we'll likely come back, retest that, and so on. So that's how those 50% levels in the middle tend to work. So a bull bear line is, in ADA Tether, is 66.98. In ADA Bitcoin, we'll take a quick peek, but it's still, you know, it's still underperforming Bitcoin. It's still in a downtrend. Today's been, with this bounce of Bitcoin, has been even more ugly. We're retesting. We're now at potentially a fib support level almost. 528 is where I'm looking for. So 528 is where I expect to find some support. I'm sorry, I'm on my own and I can't make my dog shut up. Hold on. 1 second. Sorry, I'm just trying to stop the noise of the dog barking. Okay, so I see ADA continuing lower against Bitcoin to 528. That's where my next fib support is. And see how we're underneath these previous lows from December 2017? I don't like that at all. I think that could be resistance. And so I would only get bullish again if we got back above that level and held above it, 570. So I think there's a good chance that we can bounce in ADA dollar then, but ADA Bitcoin's not quite ready yet. Again, I'm really sorry about the dog noise. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is Ethereum. Ethereum, the moves in Ethereum this weekend were absolutely brutal, really brutal. Much bigger than I was expecting. I'm starting to think that it's on a slightly different pattern to Bitcoin, and maybe we've got 5 waves complete. Because if this was just our wave 3, we've come all the way back to 61.8, lost all these daily moving averages. That's kind of a bit more than you want to see. So I'm going to put my fibs. I'm going to assume that we've done the whole thing like this. I'm going to move my fibs to the lows. And I'm going to say this looks like a false break underneath and a hold of the 50% level. That's quite interesting, and it looks like also a big ABC correction. And that's quite interesting because when you pull back and hold a 50% level like this, then your target is 50% going the other way, because markets that mean revert tend to keep mean reverting. So on this bounce in Ethereum, if we go more than 50% of the big down day yesterday, so this big red candle here like this, 247, if we get above 247, God, I can hardly think straight because of dog. Here we go, I'm going to mark 247. Okay, so if we get above 247, our target is 283. So that gives us a pretty nice trade between these two if you're a short-term trader. We should bounce to at least 283.75 in ETH US dollar. So a good save, potentially a false breakdown, looking for some follow through, and 283.75 on the upside, potentially in ETH. And if we did that, we could end up here. I'm not calling the end of ETH or anything, but if we were going to build something like a big inverted head and shoulders pattern, then that's the kind of level and the kind of thing we'd be looking for. And then, something like that. So ETH 283.75 would be where our right shoulder would form if we are a bear. Now let's look at Bitcoin Cash and then Bitcoin Cash SV. Again, this is just a correction. Now this is one just like ETH where I think we've probably done 5 waves up. And we've done a really nice move here too. 50% back. It was a bit of a last minute stick save, but we've bounced off the 200 moving average as well. We didn't get down to the 61.8. We didn't quite reach it. So I'm going to call this a 50% move, the same as ETH. So I'll take that away. And we're now going to look for, because we've already gone, look, 50% of our big red drop candle in this one. It's really pumping. So we're going to look for 50% here on the upside, which takes us back to the daily 20 moving average. So that becomes our bull bear line now in Bitcoin Cash. 50% up here, and that in Tether is 386. So you're looking for 386 Bitcoin Cash Tether. If we stall there, we're still going to go down in a bit of a downtrend. If we extend a little bit, we could get to the 50 moving average and maybe 417 in this previous high. But this kind of is the major resistance zone. This is what will keep us in a downtrend. And if we get back above these levels and hold above them, then we can start talking about going higher. And then instead of ETH with its head and shoulders here, we would have a really nice kind of inverted head and shoulders pattern that I have drawn really badly. I need to, there we go. Something like that. So that's Bitcoin Cash. We could look at it against Bitcoin, but it won't be pretty. None of these charts against Bitcoin are at all pretty. Now, we're in a very solid downtrend in this one as well. Today is what is a bullish piercing line candlestick pattern. It's a very powerful candlestick pattern. I would say it's as powerful as a bullish engulfing and works better. And it's when you make a new low and then you close more than 50% up on the big down day previously. So remember, we were always talking about that 50% line. If we close here, we've got that bullish piercing line reversal pattern in Bitcoin Cash Bitcoin. We've got a bit of resistance to get through, but maybe we would then see some follow through. So potentially, after a pretty nasty sell-off, we could get a bounce here in Bitcoin Cash Bitcoin as well. Okay then, so apologies, I can't look at all, I'm really bad at looking at the comments and the charts as well. So I'm going in the order at the top, and then I'm going to do all of your requests, okay? And a lot of, I would never kick my dog because I've just spent so much money on her surgery for her leg, and she's not supposed to be barking at squirrels or running around. That's that. So that's Bitcoin Cash Bitcoin. Everybody wants to know about Bitcoin Cash SV. So let's see where we are with this one, because in terms of support and resistance, let's leave that there. This previous high is pretty good. And when we had our nasty sell-off yesterday, we couldn't close underneath that high. That was quite something in itself, you know. This is a very big deal, support and resistance level. And here we are hanging around at this level. It's got that feeling like it might do something. Let's hide these fibs. And let's take a look at where we are going the other way. And see if that gives us a clue about what we might do. Because we're holding. So it does. So we're holding on here at a 618 fib level at 129. So we'll do that same 618382 thing, because this becomes our golden ratio zone. So if we hold this level, our target is going to be this level at the 38.2 again. If we can cross above the 50% level in the middle, it's like a pivot level. It will bounce back and forward off it. So that's what I think that I'm looking for here. So when we look at lower time frame at the moment, for me on these hourly moving averages, doesn't say buy me. And when you see this kind of, see how we have this sharp drop and this choppy overlapping rally, it always says to me, I'm going to retest the low before I go. So I'd be really careful, or I'd like to see, if not a retest of the low, what I'd like to see is a higher low or a decent pullback, because it still kind of looks a little bit too corrective. Now, if we got above these moving averages and then we did a nice little pullback like that, then I would say, okay, yeah, I would. But now, see here on this hourly as well, if we can't if we can't get motoring above this 61.8 level, or if we turn lower tonight, then we'd still be in a pretty nasty downtrend in this one. So, you know, the retest is the test. So let's wait for that pullback, higher, low, whatever, and we'll see it that way, okay? So Bitcoin Cash SV also may be at a decent bounce chart. And the Daleks like it. The Daleks know their stuff. So looking pretty good. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is ZRX. I feel like I should do a fanfare for this one. A magnificent recovery today. Let's start again, though, on our daily chart, because it's been pretty wild down here, let me tell you. Very wild. And let's put regular candles on, or it looks like a very scary doji. It still looks like a very scary doji, but, and I'm going to say, although everyone got really excited here, we haven't really done very much. We've been in this sideways range inside this bullish hammer for a week. So here's the low of our bullish hammer. Okay, and here's the high of our bullish hammer. So let's see what we did on a lower time frame. Because everybody who got long for this bullish candle, we took out their stops and then we went all the way up on the upside. So we had a false break lower and then a false break higher, and we're still back in our range. So this is one of those just brutal shakeout days, and we haven't really gone anywhere. Now, if we don't close too badly, I'm going to say maybe this is like, yeah. You know, when you're in a sideways range like this, they don't have the same meaning until you break out. So I'm going to say that this was just a bit of a brutal shakeout, and we need to let it calm down before we have another go at ZRX Bitcoin. Let's take a look at ZRX dollar and see if it gives us any more insight. So if you got burned in this one, look at this nasty spike. So we've got the same pattern here, haven't we, from a couple of days ago. Big bullish hammer. So we've tripped the longs and now we've come all the way back in this one. Yikes. Now, what's going to look bullish here? Well, we haven't recovered this previous low level. That's one thing from May. So that's going to be like our target that we've got to get back above. Let's move this line here because it's really heavy resistance. That's what we've got to get through. And let's go back to this alley because this is where we are rejected and this is where we can't seem to get above. We do look like we could be getting a bullish cross of these moving averages, and we could find some support kind of halfway back here in ZRX tether. And that, I would say, around this congestion level here, around 2.3 or maybe, where would that be? 2.23, maybe. On a pullback, if we found some support there and rallied and then came back and knocked on the door of this level, then I think that would be quite an interesting look if we could get back above 0.2527. But for the moment, it just looks like a really nasty shakeout, and let it calm down and come back again before we have another go. A safer way to trade this would be, let's take this way, look at these highs and we'll bring it down to this high in the middle. We'll call that our level. And there around that 200 moving average. So a safer way would be to let this get above, let this pull back, get above this level, come back and then retest in this zone and kind of build a base like that. That would be a much better look. So at the moment, this just looks like an ABC correction and I would leave it alone. And by that, I mean from this low to this high is equal to this low to this high kind of, and it looks like a bit just corrective. Doesn't make me want to buy it yet. So that's that one. So it's not better news. I'm going to look at VeChain, VET next. Not sure who asked for this. I think I'm going to look at VeChain. Sorry about this. Here we go. VeChain. Now, this is VeChain against the US dollar. So many of the altcoins, you know, this spring got above the 200 moving average, consolidated really nicely, and then when they pulled back, they found some support from them. And this one has been a little bit disappointing yesterday and today because we're back underneath this 200 moving average. We're not at new lows and we haven't fallen out of the, like if we drew this as a range trade and those were the highs, we couldn't really, it's a bit, I wonder, a broadening wedge would be horrible, but very crypto, wouldn't it? So if this was a broadening wedge, then maybe we've got a little bit further to fall. I'm not a big fan of those, so I'm going to say let's do it this way, and we'll rely on fib retrace levels. Okay, so clearly This 61.8 that we tagged a few times has broken, and we're underneath it, and we had a whole day underneath it yesterday, and we're still underneath it today. So the next fib support for me in VeChain dollar comes in here around 500,000 and 500,237. A little bit lower and lining up with these previous highs here. I am wrong, and we can be bullish again, I think, if we close more than 50% above. And I'm going to put regular candles on. See how this big red candle, 50% of that was today's high. You know how you're always looking at that 50% level? Okay, if we get back above today's high, which is around 611,000, and we close back above the daily 200 moving average, I'm going to say, okay, I'm wrong, and we're probably not going to go lower. But whilst we're underneath here, I think that that's probably where we'll tag before we find support in VeChain dollar. And if we look at VeChain Bitcoin, you can see that yesterday and today we've kind of lost the lows and just tagged new lows here as well. So it's not as heartbreaking as the fall in ETH was, but pretty bad. Because when I draw from here to here, I had hoped this 1272, let's take that away, would catch us. And it doesn't look like it is. So I'm going to say VeChain Bitcoin, I'm not feeling it at all, and I think we've got further to fall in VeChain dollar. Sorry. Next one people asked for was Aion. Aion is here. I know people write and tell me they have tab anxiety when they look at my charts. Now this is another one where we have lost previous support, so I'm going to take that away, and we're underneath it. So where are we looking for? I do projections by taking the low to the high of the correction. Unless it's an ABC, like sometimes in a correction like this, you'll see ABC, in which case I would put my fib on from here to here. Okay, but anyway, in this one, we've got it like this. So I'm going to look for where the 113 and then the 1272 come in. So the 113 is that level. It's like the inverse of the 886, where if you're just going to make a marginal new low and then come back again, this is where you'll do it from. So we potentially in Aion are tagging that. If we then get back above this previous low at 0.1014, then that would be a bullish reversal from here. If not, or if we lose 795,000, we're going to head down to 556,990, which is quite a long way. 556,988, in fact, is the number. So let's see if we can. Now, so we are bouncing, but only back above this 0.1014 level would be bullish. That's where I would expect to find resistance. And so not ready to buy this one yet. And Aion Bitcoin, I'm afraid it's going to look worse. So let's see how much further we've got. There we go, new. Yikes, it's not looking good, is it? So we had a good bounce from this 113, and then we bounced from this 1272, blew through this 1.618, which means now that that's going to be the resistance and the level that we have to get above if we're going to be bullish again, AI on Bitcoin. And otherwise, that's what we want next. Next support is 71. Next potential support, I should say, for Aion. This chart is a dog, isn't it, Leon? Bereft. Listen, if I lose all my tabs, it takes me an hour to put them all back how I want them. It's so sad. Like, sometimes though, Firefox will save them and then I'm really happy. But if it doesn't, then I'm devastated, I have to say. Devastated. And I normally, it's like I have 4 screens on this computer. I kind of spread them around a bit, but you know, it's still the same, isn't it? Okay, we're going to look at Digibyte next. Another one for which there was much hope, but it's behaving much better. Digibyte Bitcoin, look. No bother. Sideways. You know, it's holding its own with Bitcoin. And so that means if Bitcoin's going up, so is the value of your Digibyte. So this is not an ugly chart at all. The problem in Digibyte is this previous low from May. Every time we try and get out of this range against Bitcoin, this is where we keep banging our head, 125. So until we get out of this, you know, we're not going anywhere and we're at risk that this is just a wedge in a downtrend that goes with the trend and goes lower. And if we do that in Digibyte, then we retest these lows at 72, which would be a bit of a disappointment. So I wouldn't be tempted to jump in. If I hadn't got any, I wouldn't be tempted to jump in at this point, but I would pile in if we got above 126. I think that would be a pretty decent sign of a reversal. Your early warning sign would be a close above this 20 moving average, which we haven't been able to do for the last 3 days. That at the moment is at 115. So we're holding our own against Digibyte against Bitcoin. Let's have a quick look at the US dollar. Such a messy chart, I have to put Aion on. Yeah, we're not really losing money here either, are we now? But this support level though, if we go from all the way down here, lows to highs, like this, I kind of feel like this 786 is kind of my last line. You see how, yeah, for bullishness. See how when we started in this rally, okay, look, this 786 is kind of really, you don't want it below it. 786 was where we double bottomed. Then if we move it up here, 618, this 786 level from the highs, therefore I wouldn't want us to see below, and that is at 0.010829. So if you're holding Digibyte and you watch this dollar chart, don't kind of let it go below that level. That's like the last of the bullish fibs. When you go down below that, you're in the consolidation and you're not kind of, you know, feeling it so good. So yeah, a little bit lower. So Digibyte, not quite. Needs to break out against Bitcoin and to get some momentum. No momentum at all. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is Link, which has been lovely, this chart. Now, we're going to start with Link Tether. We've got a little bit of a sideways range going on. I've got these fib projections going on here. I'm just going to hide them. And in the dollar, well, then we'll talk about Link Bitcoin. I'm just going to look at all-time lows to all-time highs here at the moment. Not do anything too clever because and you see where we are now. I like to look and see if how we reacted at previous fibs. So if I do these big all-time lows there, and you see we had this really nice bounce from this 38.2, that says to me that actually there's potential for us to go a little bit lower before we make a base at this 50% level at 2.46. And so I should be a little bit careful about jumping in too soon in Link. That's 2.46. So I'll leave that there. And then I'm going to do this most recent swing that we're in that I can see, which is here. And if I do this, I can see that actually we're sitting on a pretty nice 61.8. And so maybe, now that we've double bottomed and held it, Maybe we could do another swing higher to this little 38.2 and widen our range this way. Maybe. The determining factor is going to be two things. Firstly, we need to go more than 50% of this candle and above the daily 20. That would be, say that would confirm we're going up rather than just bouncing sideways. And then this 50% level at 3.09, if we get above there, we'll go back to 3.44, and then we can talk about a reversal. At the moment, it's quite positive, this little double bottom, and the way we're holding this 61.8 level. It's not too bad, but it's not really positive until we're back above that daily 20 moving average. So 2.95 becomes really important. Lower time frame, let's see. I'm looking, no, maybe not 15-minute, but 4-hourly. There's our double bottom, potentially 200. So we just need to see us start turning up higher from here. At the moment, we've just paused at a maybe level. So that's Link Tether. Let's see Link Bitcoin. Ta-da! Link Bitcoin. What an outperformer this has been. Now, I've done my fib projections for this one from this very first swing lower that we did. They worked really well so far. I'm looking for us to hopefully find some support soon after an ABC correction and turn and rally higher. If we look at this on a 4-hour, this is what I mean. So I'm looking for us to make a base on a retest, not lose this 4-hour 200 moving average, and hopefully a higher low and turn higher again. But you never know. So let's look for a better way to see whether we're going up or down here. I think the other problem is, it's July, okay? And I'm still feeling like July is going to be one of those consolidation months. If we take the most recent swing higher here in Link Bitcoin, okay, we're at that 61.8 level, and in between these two, I'm going to say that I'm going to give up being bullish below 24,280, and I'd like to see a retest of the lows, hold, and double bottom or something like this. So I'm not tempted to buy this yet until I see how this retest goes in Link Bitcoin. Let's see. Now, if we can turn it around here, then happy days. We're going to go back to 3,000, which is the 38.2 fib. And if we get above that, we should be on our way to new highs. And I'm going to put back my hidden fib target here. Target is first off 40,000 and then 47,460 next. So patience needed for Link, I think. PPT was requested. Haven't looked at PPT for a while, but let's take a look and see what's going on with PPT, and then hopefully we'll do some requests. Now, Populous. When you kind of look at it on the weekly, you say, is this a good place? Like, I'm always looking to see. And I'm going to put regular candles on. Where are we in relation to that low? Is this maybe a 113? Somewhere where, we could say this would be a good place to stop. Maybe not quite. Then I'm always just looking for a reason why we would stop here, and is this a good place, So at the moment, I can't find a reason for this to be a good place. This is probably 2.618 or something like that. Maybe no. Okay. So when you haven't got a reason or a level or a fib projection for somewhere to be, I'm just going to try one more. For a place to be a good support level, then you have to rely on the price action. And what that tells you. So far we look like we've stabilized and we're going into sideways trading. Markets have three directions, don't they? Up, down, or sideways. And we're going into that sideways thing. See how all the way down this, previously this 50 moving average twice now has been resistance. I probably wouldn't buy Populous against Bitcoin unless we got back above that daily 50 moving average and held above it, because we're just in a downtrend until we do, and every rally is going to bang its head and then carry on lower. At the moment, there's no reason for me to buy this. We've even got rejected at the 20 here, and we're still underneath it. And this has a bit of a bear flag look to me, unfortunately, in Populous. So I'm really sorry I'm not more cheerful about this one. This is another good trick I use. So in a trending market, very often it will retrace 50% and then it'll carry on lower. And so when you put the fibs on and you see it go more than 50%, that's when sometimes you can get excited. Especially, that's when sometimes a market will go to a 61.8 and then, and then it'll find support from that 50% and carry on. And so that's what I very often look for. But a trending market, 50% back, carry on lower. This, for me, that it's just done here on the 4 hour says that Populous is still headed lower and kind of really needs to retest the lows and do a bit more to make me think it's made a bottom. So, sorry, no, not yet for this one. The other place when you are looking at rallies where markets very often get stuck are previous highs, because that's what reverses the trend. If you think, well, a downtrend is lower highs and lower lows, then you need to take out that, for example, here we would have needed to take out this low for us to kind of reverse the trend. If we were looking in this swing of downtrend here, the last kind of big swing low was here, wasn't it? Couldn't take that one out. So, whichever way you look at it, 50% back, highs and lows, still in a downtrend in Populous Bitcoin. Now, we've seen from a lot of alts that doesn't mean that they're getting crushed against the dollar, but yeah, it's much more sideways, Populous against the US dollar, but it's still not a buy for me. Sorry. Now BNB, I've been stalking an entry in, and I have been frustrated. Especially because BNB Bitcoin has behaved really properly. We made a pretty nice ABC correction here. We've come back to 50% of the all-time lows to highs. So in Binance Coin Bitcoin, from this low to this high, this is exactly 50% back. It's a messy support and resistance level, and we've done an exact equal measured move. So this is a really good place for Binance Coin to start outperforming Bitcoin again, and so far it is. It's done really well. It's stabilized off the lows. I would feel much better if I had seen it see a perfect retest, and we may be about to get one as we head back. So I'm looking for these lows to hold up on a retest, 24,400. I think it's a massive support level, and that's what I'm looking for in Binance Coin Bitcoin. It might not even come back that far, but it would be good if it did. Let's put it that way. It would be a much more solid base to buy against in BNB. Binance Coin Dollar, unfortunately, has not been quite as pretty at all. And kept looking for bullish patterns, and instead, we could argue, a few are arguing, that this is an inverted head and shoulders pattern. No, rubbish, head and shoulders pattern. Either way, this is pretty important support. Remember we talked about downtrend and so on. Let me hide this. Okay, we're going to take the fib retraces from this low like this. That's the bad news about Binance Coin Dollar here. The good news about this is it does now look like a bit of, let me make sure this is level, a bit of a false breakdown if we can close back above this low here from the 4th of June. And false breakdowns are pretty powerful reversal. Didn't quite reach this 38.2. This 236 I think may be quite strong. So this is where I'm going to say our resistance is going to be 31.26. So possibly a false breakdown and a pretty nice smart recovery going on here in Binance Coin Tether, which would be quite bullish. But I'm waiting to see where we close relative to this low here, I think. And around here. Looks okay so far, doesn't it? But let's not count our chickens. So yeah, maybe Binance Coin. I'd much rather, though, Binance Coin, Bitcoin, see that low retested. But that's what I'm looking for. Okay, now so the last one. Somebody asked for a coin called VRA. It's not one I followed, Voracity. Here's the daily chart of Voracity against Bitcoin. Now, this one, this shape, I've got Heiken-Ash candles. I'll put regular candles on. And let me take this away for a second. This shape, I have to say, doesn't make me want to buy it. When you have sharp drops and then the recoveries are choppy, overlapping, can't make a new high. Here we've got a bearish cross of our moving averages. This says to me that this is getting ready potentially to retest the lows, and so it makes me a little bit nervous. So that's the bearish argument. The bullish argument in this is this was a pretty nice bounce from an 886 fib level, and in fib terms, when you bounce from an 886 fib level, which is down here, your target is the 50%. That's where we would be looking for. Only if you can get above and hold above the fib above it. So 886, 786. So that makes our support here at this 786 fib level. So now we're going to look on a lower time frame, see if we can hold it. It's a bit messy here, isn't it? But so you can see this is resistance, 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 support. This is the level 624 that Voracity Bitcoin has to hold if it's going to carry on higher to our 1100 target. If it doesn't, if we get a 4-hour close, for example, below 624, I'd be looking for a drop to 454 before we recover again and a retest to the lows. So be careful. We're right on key support for VRA. Okay. We're going to look for some Leo. Now, I don't have 100 pages open, so I'm just warning you now that we might take a little bit of time, but I do have some Leo here. Okay, so let's do Leo. To be fair, in our group, we learn a strategy as well. We don't just talk, but we do it every day or most days. You know, Leo US dollar, obviously we went beyond our 50% level, but if we put regular candles on, in each one of these fib levels, it's really tried, hasn't it? It certainly did at this 50% level. And up here at this 236, there was a huge battle to try and bounce. So this reaction at a 61.8 here, we're combined with, you know, pretty good support and resistance, says, you know, we should have an attempt at a bounce in Leo. And because of the way the fib rules go, if we're bouncing from that 61.8, remember that, take that away. Say the 50% is our pivot level or our confirmation. Let's make it a different color. Okay. Here. So 1.5037 Leo US dollar. If we get above that, we've reversed the trend. Okay, so far now we're just making a bit of a base, but this becomes our bull bear line to beat and our target on the upside. So it does look like a pretty good base down here. We could say it's a messy head and shoulders pattern even. if we did it like this, and we said this was the neckline, look, we've got left shoulder, head, right shoulder, we're above it. So we go twice the distance, so that works out fine. That takes us to the 1.5 target in Leo dollar. So yeah, if we get above 1.503, our target's 1.62, and then above 1.62, for sure we're in a new upswing. So far so good, but we're only bullish above here, really. So we've got two levels to, overcome. Small one here, big one here. But good signs. We've stopped going down, let's put it that way, in Leo dollar. Now Leo, let's take a quick look at Leo Bitcoin. Because we've done a same thing, pretty good bounce off the lows, but this is, Bitcoin's rally today has wrecked a few of these looks. They don't look quite as impressive. So we're going to say, you know, Leo Bitcoin, we're just going sideways at the lows rather than, you know, trending anywhere. So that's okay. Litecoin Euro. Now, Litecoin Euro. Let's look at our Coinbase chart, because first off we want to know, we fell out of this channel, right, didn't we? Let's tidy up here. Okay. In the Litecoin Euro, you know, we're really close to 50% back. It's a shame because in the dollar we had it exactly. Sometimes that happens. Now if I cheat a bit with my ABC, we're almost there. I often think, you know, with Litecoin, it used to be the other way round. So when you looked at an F dollar and F euro, the F euro chart always used to work. But when you looked at Litecoin dollar and Litecoin euro, the Litecoin dollar chart was always the one that worked. And so I feel like even if you trade this in euro, you should look at the chart patterns in US dollar, because just the FX effects can really distort them. And so at the moment, potentially, based on what we know about Litecoin dollar, this could be a really good level for Litecoin euro to find and make a bit of a base here. If I take a look at this, though, it has the potential to fall a little bit further to 73 and still be in that bullish pattern. So I'm going to say that the confirmation that we're going higher is when we go more than 236 up in this one. So if we get above 88, then that's a bullish reversal for Litecoin euro, above 88. That will be the level, because that's more than 236 from this ABC high. There's a lot to like about this. You know, this is 5 waves for this last leg. I really do think that that could be, you know, it. Sorry if I'm not keeping up with the comments. Bat, hello Michael, Michelle, let's take a look at basic attention token. One of my favourite charts. How long have I been looking at this wedge on the basic attention token chart? I can't wait to buy this one. And I do look at it all the time. Now, it looks pretty dire today, doesn't it? But in the good news section, we've done a third touch of our trend line on the base here. So that's good news. Okay, first off. And we've had a really good look underneath the 200-day moving average and rallied all the way back again. That's a really good look too. So if you were going to be looking for, I really like the look of this. Basic attention tokens. So for me, here's our lovely bounce off these lows. I'm going to wait for the next pullback and see what happens. I would really like it if we got, say, back to these previous highs here. That would be a really nice pattern. Something like this. Oops, there we go. Now, if we could rally up here and do something like this, then, you know, a little pullback, then I would definitely would. I'm not sure I want it to, see, I wanted to get it back above that 200 moving average and then retest the 200 day. And that's where I want to buy it. So I don't really want to see a big retest of the lows here. Then I'm going to have my reward delayed and I would wait for it to do this, and then my long entry would be when we get back above that 200 moving average then, if that happened. So yeah, really good level, but just not quite enough. You know, this sharp drop and this choppy recovery is not quite enough for me to want to buy it. But a retest or back above the 200 and then find support, that would be great. Okay, so that's basic attention token dollar. Basic attention token Bitcoin. It's not quite so pretty, is it? I've been looking for it to come back and retest this 786 fib level and this previous double bottom at 2090. Haven't quite got there yet. I think by the time that this July correction is over, that's possibly where we are. There is a bit of a level here that we're hanging on for, isn't it? And Bitcoin, but not enough to make me want to buy it yet. So potentially a little bit lower for that one. That's just an hourly look. Okay, so this is where I'm looking. 2090. Because, you know, this was a big time, long time range for basic attention token in between these two levels, wasn't it? And this 2000 level was the bottom and this 6000 level was the highs. So we've been back and forward and we really had a pop out and now we're back in our range again. So I want to see on a retest, will the bottom of this range hold next time? Okay, so let's take a look at Ripple and XTZ in ETH, no problem. Now Ripple, unfortunately Ripple, I'm going to say, is one of those ones where I think we have a little bit further to fall. This is Ripple dollar. Sorry, this is Ripple Bitcoin. I'm going to zoom out here like this. Okay, so from the all-time lows to the highs, we couldn't hold the 786 or this potential double bottom. This next fib support for me in Ripple Bitcoin comes in at 2620 and it is the 886 fib from this low to this high. If we can bounce from this, our target will be back to these highs in the middle here around 10,600. So it would be good to get a pretty good bounce here. This level that we're looking to hold is 2,600. Now, if we look at this and we zoom in, you know, this has got the little bit of a look of a bear flag, sharp drop, sideways consolidation, and now this nasty bearish reversal again. If we look at it, it's on a 4-hour, here's our flag. And looks like we're headed lower. So 2,620 Ripple Bitcoin is where I'm looking for us to go. Ripple Bitcoin. Now, Ripple Satoshi. Okay? 2,620. Back up your truck there because it really, that should work, that level. Let's look at Ripple dollar. And this is the same thing. You know, we've got this really strong range. Triple bottom, range, triple top. Had a little false breakout, which is always nasty, but a clear warning. And whenever you get that false breakout, you're going to go all the way and go to the bottom the other way. And so until we get to the bottom of this range in Ripple dollar, which is 0.285, not really that good of support, unfortunately. Not that good. Okay, let's look at XTZ against ETH. Now, I use that screening tool on TradingView with the moving averages. When I ran it this morning, just about, because ETH had such a bad weekend, just about everything looked good against ETH because ETH had been so down. So a lot of charts are going to look good, better than they might be otherwise against ETH. So let's tidy up this dollar chart. We'll start on the daily. And I'm going to say XTZ against dollar. This is not a bad look, you know. Look at this lovely bounce that we got before at the 200-day moving average. And we're just retesting it again here in XTZ dollar. And pretty nice bounce off it. 5 waves down. Like, there's a lot to like about this. If we can make a lower high and turn this around. So XTZ against dollar definitely could be set up to bounce. A nice ABC would take us back to this resistance. If we did 2 equal swings like this, look. If we did 2 equal swings like this, famous last words, we would get back up to this resistance level around here. So quite a nice target if we can turn it around. Now XTZF. Yeah, that's a very nice look, isn't it? Now we've bounced from the 886 fib here. So from this low to this high, this was the 886 fib level. That means our target is here, the 50%. Here. And we're only going to go there if we get above the 786, which we've done perfectly. We've rallied, got above, held it. Okay, what we should see in this, see how we've done one swing higher? We should do the same thing again. Nice big ABC, 2 equal swings like this, that, and maybe a little bit higher. So, but what we've got to do is get out of this resistance. So we've got a little bit of a 4-hour channel that we need to break out of. If we're going to go higher, that's the first thing. We've got to get out of there. Oh, why is it doing that? I'm not in log scale, am I? No. Okay. There we go. There's our sort of channel that we're stuck in. So we need to break out of that if we're going to get to our target up here at 61,900. Whilst we stay in this, we're still in this sideways declining wedge pattern. So that's what to look for. If you want to make sure you don't miss it, put an alarm on it. Okay, so there we go. Looking for another leg higher in XTZF, and that does have a good look, if provided we could break out. But yeah. Okay, and we're going to look at Atom and Flynn and, okay, hi Richie. FLN. Some of these haven't looked at before. Let's save that one. FLN. Okay, let me see here. Okay, I can't find FLN, so there we go. I don't think it's that FLIN. Sorry, can't find FLN, so I can't do that one. SVNTVT. I can't, Richie M, I can't find the ones that you're asking for. I'm really sorry. Atom, we've got Atom though. Cosmos, hooray, look at Cosmos now. This is Cosmos Bitcoin. This is our big 1272 fib level that we're hoping we can bounce off. I got my Heikenhashi on, but look at this. Bounce and a retest. Now, we're not out of the woods yet, as we know. In fact, we're not close because we're just really in a tough sideways range, again, that we've got to break out of. But looking pretty good for it, isn't it? In fact, if we close here, we'll have our highest close. So, ta-da! So we're trading in the range of this last big down red candle. And yeah, looking very good for a breakout at the bottom of the range. So far, so good. I would say above the hourly 200 moving average or above this horizontal level at 3960, 3960, you are in good shape in Cosmos. Where are we going to rally to from here? Back to these previous lows. This is the structure that we should be headed for, and the daily 20 moving average at 4725. That would be my first target. And then I'm going to put my fib, 23.6 fib. She should be close to there. Maybe it's there. It's a little bit lower. Let's say 4595 and the 20 moving average. 4595 is your first upside resistance. Above there, our next target is going to be 5965 and the daily 20 moving average. So if you don't know how to draw fibs, don't worry. 20 EMA, 50 SMA, those are the two targets for Cosmos, making a nice little bottom. But let's not get too excited, because we've done this before here, look. And when we drew that from here to here, where did we stop? The 236 fib. So that's why when we do this, we've got to get above that 236 fib, or it'll just be a nice little consolidation in a downtrend. Yay, Cosmos. Okay. Gonna try, what the fuck? You guys better not be, messing with me. Because I probably wouldn't realise. Okay, I can do CET. Okay. All right, listen, everyone. It's July, and I didn't say this at the beginning, but I have said this in previous weeks. July, historically, has not been a great month for Bitcoin or crypto. If we go to and make this a weekly chart, and we look back at previous Julys, they've always, this is where we were this time last July, in 2017. Okay, if we look back to where we were last year, yeah, we were here. Like, it's not been great. Okay, XMR is the last one. Okay, we'll do XMR. And so, could we rally away from here and this is the correction over in Bitcoin? Yeah, we really could. But if I'm right, okay, and this is a wave 4 and this was our wave 2, these corrections are very often equal in time. And this correction here, that when we did it in December, January, was 6 weeks long, 6 to 7 weeks. And so far we've only done 3 weeks, so 6-7 weeks. That would take us to the end of July. So if you want to have a holiday, spend some time with your kids, remind yourself that you have kids or a family, all of those things. This, it wouldn't be a bad month to do it. You can keep an eye on Bitcoin. Believe me, if it is going to take off, it'll give us a pullback entry. But I wouldn't be surprised if we end up doing just some sideways this month. That's all. Okay, so let's look at Monero, which I forgot. My bad, and I apologise. Monero. Because the theme of today really, I could look at Pundi as well, Iman. The theme of today has been false breakdowns. Remember, we've had this lovely false breakdown in Ethereum. We've had a lovely false breakdown in quite a few coins. And there isn't any much prettier than this false breakdown in Monero, which was, let's face it, looking a bit like an ugly head and shoulders pattern, wasn't it? The real level here, and if we put our fibs on in Monero Tether from this low to this high, the real support that we're hanging on is this 50% back. I'm going to make it much darker so you can see it. Here's our 50% level through the middle. Okay, once we got here, we held it here, and now we've retested it. So really, what we've got just here is a nice kind of double bottom swing failure pattern at the 50% retrace level. Now, this is not a very pretty equal measured move, but it is one of those ones where this second swing is 61.8 of the first swing. So it's just like Bitcoin, and we could be all correction over here in Monero as well, and ready to start our new swing higher. We've bounced from the 50%, and now we've done a pretty spectacular retest of it here in Tether. How are we going to know? Well, first of all, we're going to hold above 85.1 in Monero Tether. And as long as we hold that level now, as in we don't go back underneath it now in today, so this pullback, for example, here, we should get one. We're going to hold it on the retest. That's going to be a nice long entry in Monero Tether. And then we're going to look to rally from here. Remember, 50% one way should go 50% the other. So we'll draw it like this. High to low, 50%. We should rally from here to at least 98.78, which is just about 100, isn't it? 98.78 next. So that's where we're looking for in Monero, dollar and Monero, and Bitcoin. Let's see how we look there. Another false breakdown. Remember, this had a real bear flag look to me. I have to say that I don't think we're out of the woods against Tether, and that Monero may underperform for a little bit longer. These fib projections, I like to see them work better than this, and I'm not sure that they're working terribly well, so I'm not going to rely on it 100% in this case. But what happened at the 113? That would be interesting. So that's the 113 fib. I think if we get back above that, we probably have bottomed in Monero Bitcoin. So let's go down to 4 hour, because that would be also, if we were just going to do an ABC correction, that's where we would tag it, isn't it? So if this was just like this, there. So 9556. That's where we need to be above in Monero to confirm our bullish reversal. 9570, 9556. And if we just rally there and roll over, I'm afraid it'll just be another kind of big ABC correction. So be a little bit careful. Above 9570, we're going to get excited for Monero Bitcoin. Wafflebot says, moving up and down around 10k will get a lot of people trapped. Yeah, listen, you know, whenever these markets go sideways, and I see it on Twitter, like people have really, like, look at these moving averages here on the 4 hour. They're all dead flat and bunched up together. When that happens, there's no trend. But yeah, I see people with really strong convictions about which way they're going to go next and how much lower. I think it's really dangerous. We have to be just kind of open to the levels and the possibilities. So, yeah, I'm looking at consolidation. 1 minus, hold on. You want to look at the inverted chart. Okay, here's Bitcoin. Start on the weekly. So people, are we bullish or are we bearish here? This is the question. Are we bullish or are we bearish? This is Bitcoin inverted on the weekly. And this is Bitcoin inverted on the daily. So see here, look, it's really obvious now that we're sideways. It's a chop zone. And until we break out of it, you buy the bottom and you sell the top, and that's it really. And be very careful and use stops in between. Okay? Let's get back to the right way up. There we go. Okay, good night everyone. Thank you so much for coming. And I haven't looked at Pundi. That was naughty. Pundi. I'm sure it's here. Hold on. No. Pundi. Here we go. NPSX. Now, it's another, this is Pundi Bitcoin, which I hate this chart because they're fat ticks, because it's such chunky numbers, 5, 6, 7. And this is a daily chart. I much prefer to look at this against the US dollar. So I'm going to do that because it kind of looks like we're holding the lows, but it really doesn't mean very much. So Pundi, US dollar. It's a bit easier to see where we are, isn't it? Let's draw this support line from the lows and get rid of that. And where did we rally? Yeah. So I'm a little bit bearish because we've failed at this 50% level. And how often do you see this? You know, from the last swing lower, which was from there, we couldn't get beyond that 50% level, which is 107,044. So this time, you know, when we did get up here, though, we had all of our moving averages bullish. We pulled them above the 200 moving average. Everything was all set to go higher now here in Pundi. And if I measure the swings now like this, it looks to me like we've done an ABC correction. We're bouncing off trend line support and we're back above that 200 moving average and 236 fib level. So this to me does look like Pundi is trying a bullish reversal, and so I would buy a little, and if we can close above 107.44, so 170,440, this level here, I would buy a whole load more because I think that that's the next upswing in Pundi, and we should end up, yeah, around 177,000 and these previous highs next. So looking good for Pundi, actually, against the dollar, but looks horrid against Bitcoin. Okay, bye everyone. See you next week. Thanks for coming. Remember, July is going to be a very tricky month. Don't risk too much. Instead, trade very carefully. Save it for opportunities that are going to come, and they will come. And yeah, keep your powder dry, keep your cash back, and be ready. Okay, bye everyone.